What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, there I am. All right. Y'all first let me know if y'all can hear me. Comment below. Drop a like, heart. Is the audio working? Wes, Kevin, can y'all hear me? If you can hear me, comment. Christopher, what's up, man? Can y'all hear me? Drop a comment if y'all can hear me. So I have no way of knowing if this is working or not. Is this thing on? Or maybe you are commenting and I can't see them. Let's see. Give me 1 second to sort some things out here, folks. Philip, what's happening, man? All righty. Get this second screen up. All right. It doesn't look like this shared to my groups here. Oh, okay. It's shared to make pop music. Cool. Okay. Now I can see everybody's comments. Awesome. Thanks for hanging with me. First time doing this. How's everybody doing? So we got 11 people here. We're going to talk about music producer branding today. What's up, Keith? Nick, how's it going, man? Mike, what's up, y'all? I'm going to give it just like 30 seconds here. Appreciate y'all hanging out just to let some other folks hop on. Mike, what's happening, man? What is going on? I'm glad this is working. So I paid a lot of money for this damn software, so I was a little nervous, but it looks like everything is working cool here. Nick, doing good, man. Doing good. Breaking the popping the live stream cherry. It's my first time doing this, so we'll see what happens. Nicholas, what's up, my dude? Nicholas, did anything happen with that client that I sent you? What's up, Christopher? Enjoying the beer. Yeah, Nick, I'm trying, man. Cut the volume down on my second screen here so you don't hear the feedback. Right on. Cool. Well, let's dive in. So what I want to do here is go through a couple of concepts based around branding. And a lot of you know what I do already. But if you don't know, I specialize in working with music producers who have client services. So not so much on the performance DJ side, but you're a producer that, you know, can make tracks for artists, mix for artists, and deeper than that, ones that do that in the online space, if you will. Philip, Philip, really? You were on here for 10 seconds. That's all good. This will be recorded, Philip, so you'll get it. Nick, cool. All right. Awesome, man. I hope that client closes for you. Robin, what's up? Another one of my coaching clients, got the family coming in. They know most of this stuff already, but glad to have them here supporting. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I I primarily work with producers who offer, services to clients, particularly working with artists, helping artists produce music. So I want to talk about branding, because branding can be kind of a weird topic for people. They can be unsure what it is. A lot of people just think it's, oh, that's my logo and how my website works and all that. And what's up, Clay? Andy? Clay is here now. It's a party. So a lot of people think branding is just a logo or how their stuff looks. And, that's part of branding. That's kind of the identity, branding identity part of things. But there's a lot to it. So I just want to quickly kind of go through, let's see, what do I got? Like 4 different sort of tips, 4 things that you can take and start using in your own music production business, start thinking about. Dang, Christopher's already got the questions for me. One thing that I struggle the most with. So we'll do a Q&A as well. I'll basically go through each of the 4 things. And then at the end of each one, we'll do some questions. And Christopher, to your question, the one thing I struggle most with, there's a lot of things I struggle with. And I'll get to that. Yeah. Communicating one's value. Absolutely. So let's talk about that. That leads me in, Christopher. You're going to tee me off. I appreciate that. Or tee me up, whatever that term is. Communicating one's value. So first we got to decide, who are we valuable to, right? So let me delete this here. Get my, little tablet going. From my YouTube videos, I love making me some crappy drawings. That's what we're going to do here as well. So the first thing, it may sound kind of simple, but it's really important. And that's deciding, who our ideal client is, right? Who do we want to work with? And I know that for most of us, what's up, Joel? Joel, looking forward to our call this week. Thanks for joining in, guys. I know most of us, especially when we're starting out, we'll just take any kind of work, right? We don't really have an ideal client. The ideal client is whoever will pay us. And I certainly understand that approach, and I've been there. I've done that approach myself. The problem with that is that when we try to be everything to everyone, it hurts our potential of really maximizing our revenue as a producer, as a production company. Because what we find is that when we're everything to everyone, we lack focus. And that sort of, it's the best way to put it. It feels like almost like our business is controlling us instead of us controlling it. And it's really hard to build authority, which you'll hear me talk about authority throughout this quite often. It's hard to build that authority when we're just everything to everybody. It's lack of identity. And, I see a lot of, music producer websites. A lot of people are sharing their websites, and most of them just look the same to me. They say the same things. I can work with rock and hip hop and EDM, and I can mix, and here's my portfolio, here's my name, and I'll make you a professional sounding song. That's it. And I see that all the time. And there's just a lack of identity. So before we build our brand, we have to decide who our ideal client is. So the reason we want to do that, what's up, Corey? The reason we want to do that is because we need to be able to make it obvious that we are the guy or girl for that ideal client, right? So that's what we want to do. We want to make it obvious that we are their best option. All right. So we can't be someone's best option if we don't know who they are and what they need. So in order to be someone's best option, we need to, strictly refine, who that person is. So One one thing that is tough for people to figure out, especially people that have not worked with anyone before, if you haven't worked with any clients, is knowing even what that ideal client would look like. You may not think that you're the best option for anyone, but I promise you are. You are. And even if you're starting out with them, maybe you're the best option for an artist who's starting out, right? What's up, Edward? Till, thanks for joining. So that's the first thing that we need to do, is define who do we want to work with, and how can we make it obvious that we are their best option. That's how we build authority with them. Because if we're just like everybody else, they come to our website, hey, we're a producer and engineer, this is what I do, I can do hip hop, rock, all this stuff, then there's nothing special about that, right? You're just another producer in the sea of producers. So that's why it's important. So now I'm just, Douglas, what's up, man? Hope all is well with you. So that's kind of the first step to this, is determining, who our ideal client is, who we want to work for, so that we can make it obvious as we build our brand that we are their best option. So that's point number one. I'm going to open it up to some questions here real quick, unless y'all don't have any, and then I'll move on. So any questions about figuring out your ideal clients? What's up, Simon? How's it going? Simon's killing it. Simon came on board with me, and we started doing some consulting together. He landed his first client in under 3 weeks. Simon, glad you're here. So Till asks, is it better to specialize in a specific style than say that you do them all? The short answer is yes. Now, where that gets tough for people, though, and same with me, is that a lot of us are really good at different styles, right? But when you're starting out, especially, it's important to really show that you specialize in a style. A style is part of it. We'll talk about what other pieces to that. And you don't have to worry. A lot of people are scared about that because they feel, well, if I go too niche, that people won't ask me to do other stuff. And I promise they will. The brand for my music production company is pretty specific as to what we do. But does that mean we don't have people ask us to do other things? Yeah, we do. And at that point, we decide whether we want to do that or not. Let's see. Yeah, and like what Christopher said here, it's a lot easier to optimize one's web output when you niche down. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example here. I'll use Austin's Make Pop Music YouTube channel as an example of this. So just because this relates back to, let me repeat it, what Christopher said. It's a lot easier to optimize one's web output when you niche down to specifics. So I'll give you an example of what that means. On Austin's channel, Make Pop Music, every key term that we create for a video, so every piece of content we put on there has a purpose, right? And we're trying to get those videos to rank because we're using that as discovery content for people to discover Austin as a music producer. And the cool part is that since we were so specific about making pop production content and started ranking for some of those videos, we now have a better chance of any video that we put out in the future on that channel that has to do with pop will most likely rank. So we have a better chance because YouTube has looked at our channel, or Austin's channel rather, and says, okay, this is obviously a resource for pop music because every one of their videos is about it. Versus if you had a channel where, let's say you have 5 different client personas, rock, and you work with hip hop, you work with pop, you work with EDM, you're having to make content for all of those different things to attract that ideal client. And it gets really tough So that's just an example that I think is kind of based off of what Christopher was saying there. Let's see. Andrew, what's up, man? Started working with Andrew and Zach, that team this week. I'm pumped for those guys. Streetlight Melodies. So Jason says, I feel like this goes back to the niching down thought process as a startup producer engineer. Is it better to get more work or wait for your specialty? So that's a good question, because I have what I tell people now, what I help them do when I'm starting with them from the get-go, and then I have what my experience was. It sort of depends on where you're at in the process. I think in the beginning, when you're learning how to engineer or produce, you're going to do a lot of different things. And I think you're still in that, early learning stage of developing your skills as a producer or engineer. And throughout that early development stage, you may be getting paid. You may even be full time. My story was like that. I engineered, did a lot of different things, made tracks here and there, recorded. I worked in a studio. We would record Americana one day, jazz the next day, rock the next day, and maybe a pop artist the next day. But it wasn't until I really developed a tight niche, where I felt comfortable and, okay, I'm going to make tracks for people. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pretty much cut out all the engineering. I'm going to focus on making tracks. And deeper than that, I'm going to make tracks for, people who want to make commercial music. And then deeper than that, I'm going to do it for people who are online, who, live in a place where they don't have connection to producers. That's how specific my target is. So can you start right out of the gate by niching down? I mean, most of the people I work with now, I do because I tell them to, because it's so competitive now that I feel like they have a better shot if we right out of the gate, position them as an expert in a very certain market for a very specific kind of client. Now, will that change over time? Will they specialize in something else down the road? Absolutely could happen. So hopefully that answers the question. All right. Kieran, I hope I'm saying your name right. Asked, if you are skilled enough to be a best option for multiple niches, at what point would you create multiple brands, aliases, companies? For instance, if you produced hip hop and had hip hop credits, but wanted to branch into something unrelated, metal, for instance, would you produce metal under a different name or company with a new website? That's a good question. So my gut reaction to the question is, if you were making, it would depend. If you were making a complete 180-degree turn from hip hop to metal, then that's probably up for a rebrand. But if you want to do hip hop and you just, you've built up some credibility. Here's one thing that I'll mention. If you're building up credits in anything and you're building authority in anything, you have an easier chance of, spreading yourself out a bit versus someone who's just starting, because you've already done the legwork. You've built authority. So it's easier for you to launch something off of that platform. For example, I'll use Austin Hull as an example. Brand himself as a pop producer with the Make Pop Music group and YouTube channel, but he gets rock stuff all the time. Does he brand himself as a rock guy? No, I'd say he's more branded as a pop guy. He has a pop group, but he gets rock stuff too, because now he can kind of branch off and say, hey, I've done this rock stuff. What do you guys think? And attract bands like that. What's up, Ryan? Welcome. Anson, welcome. So if you've already built up credibility in one genre and you want to do more, then I think that you'll have an easier time doing it. At that point, you're known for being a producer and you're doing multiple things. If you're just starting out, then I'd really go after one that you feel you have the best fit in. Because like I said, a lot of us are really great at multiple genres, and it's fun to sort of switch it up and work on different things. And so hopefully that answered the question, Karen. That's a really good question. Anson asked, how do you get clients / pitch songs? Boy, well, that's a big question. There's a lot to that question, Anson. I wish if I had a quick answer for that, I would. So this live stream, we're talking about branding. So this is very much one of the first steps towards getting clients. Pitching songs. So pitching songs isn't really my specialty. I've had sync placements and stuff in the past, but it's not something I can consult producers with. There are multiple resources, Anson, like one of my clients, Mark, has a site called That Pitch where he sends out briefs that you can pitch songs to. There's the micro licensing route, which is like Audio Jungle. There's going to networking events and meeting music supervisors. That's, kind of basic advice, but again, that's not so much my specialty. The getting clients part, stick around and watch this live stream. Or if you really want to dig deeper, I'm going to go ahead and plug my class, danielgrimmett.com/class. Anson, check that out. I give you kind of more of a start to finish deal. All right. Anyone else got any questions on this one, or can I move to the next one? Simon says now the chat is working. Was it not working for anybody else? I'm pretty sure it's working on my end. Y'all let me know if anything seems messed up, and I'm going to barrel through this. It's live and uncut, baby. All righty. So let's move on to the next thing. It's number one, figuring out who our ideal client is. So let's talk about two. Whoa, that's not a two. So the second thing to determine is, and this is a tough one. This is a question when I have, strategy calls with producers to determine whether they're a fit to invite into my consulting program. I ask probably about halfway into the conversation, what makes you special? Why should someone work with you? And it's a very tough question. A lot of the time we don't think about it. Why does someone want to work with us? What makes us special? And there's usually a couple of answers. The first ones that I get are, well, my music's really great. The quality of my work is good, or, I'm affordable. And those two things are great. I would hope your music's good. And it's nice that you're affordable. Affordable is a relative term, of course, but we can't compete on price and we can't compete on quality anymore because of the competition. I mean, there's just a lot of people doing this. And when I say competition, I don't mean like sports competition, but your clients have artists have a lot of options, right? When they're hiring a producer, they have a lot of options, which is awesome for them and for us. It's good that they have a lot of options. When we're working online, we have a lot of options too. There's a lot of artists in the world. So it's just about making that connection. So what makes us special? Why do they want to work with us? So money and price, we want to put to the side, because if we compete on money and price and quality. So money and quality, we want to put to the side, because if we compete on quality, we got to know that there's always someone just as good as us or better. And if we compete on price, we got to know that there's always someone that's just as good as we are that'll be cheaper. And that's kind of a downward spiral. So number two is figuring out what makes, come on, pen. There we go. Undo this. My pen is not connecting. What makes you special? This is probably one of the toughest things to figure out. Keith's got to run because it breaks up at work. Have a good shift, my man. And check out the rest later. Cool. So what makes you special? It's the easiest way. This is one of the first things I do when I'm consulting a producer, even if they're just starting out. Everybody has some kind of unique angle or something they can do for their clients that makes them special. that would make them kind of the best option for their ideal client. And if they don't, then we fucking make one. We figure it out. So there's things that you can do. This is kind of a little formula I like to do. So now that we've determined kind of who our ideal client is, we're going to start with that. So let's say that may be like pop songwriters or pop artists or rock songwriters, whatever your ideal client is. Plus what you do. Plus what you can help them do, them being your client. So when we're figuring out what our ideal client is and how we can create a brand that, as Christopher put it, communicates value to them, we need to know what it is they're struggling with. What do they need? Because it's always deeper than they need a good song produced, right? I mean, that's obvious. They want a good song produced, but let's look at it deeper. When I create content for marketing, I like to, this is a phrase that's been around forever, ask why 3 times or 5 times. I've heard it both ways. So this is how we do it. We say, okay, they want a great song. They want a professional song. Why? Well, if they get a professional song, then, they have a better chance of getting onto a Spotify playlist. Okay. Why is that important? Okay. Well, because if they get on Spotify playlists, then they can build more of a fan base. Okay. Why is that important? Well, because if they build a fan base, then they would, have more clout and would maybe be able to get picked up by a label and have their album released. Okay. Why is that important? Because then they have a label funding their career and they can sell records. So it comes down to what kind of primal human emotion does that help with? Security. They want to feel secure. They want to feel like they're a part of something, and they want to feel self-fulfilled. So that's the emotion we're marketing to. It's not just about a good song. Why do they really want that great song? And even if it's just little things, can we do to help them do that past the song? So I'll give you kind of a real example here. Hopefully Simon will be cool if I kind of share his brand. He's about to launch his site anyway, and he's already landed some clients. So let me just look and catch up here. Steven, what's up, man? Enjoyed our chat last week, representing Nashville. Jerry said, how much beer do you have to drink with the right people every week to get the necessary connections? Jerry, I'm not the best guy to ask that question. I'm sober. When I drink with the right people, I quickly become the wrong people, and those right people want nothing to do with me. So I don't drink beer with anyone. But I guess that's a way to do things for sure. Got to be in a place where those right people exist, but if you're not, that's cool too. Kieran said, so I assume it's better to use my client got 1 million hits as a selling point and not say, look how good the mixdown is, and let your song speak for itself. It's a good point, Kieran. So Kieran, man, good questions. And again, I hope I'm saying your name right, man. So yes, in a way. Now there's a way to do that though. Coming out and just saying my client got 1 million hits, there's a difference between that's kind of flexing. So with my client, I have some clients that are just starting. I have consulting clients that have Grammy nominations, and the ones that have some more credentials. What I tell them to do is kind of subtly flex those credentials. So do it in a way where you're helping your ideal client. Don't just come out and say, my client got 1 million hits. Come out and say, hey, I worked with this artist so-and-so. They just reached 1 million hits. Here's a quick interview I did with them on how we achieved that. So you're subtly, you're sneaking it in there that, hey, by the way, my clients are killing it, kind of as a humble brag, but you're doing it in a way that you're helping them out. That to me is how like the audio tutorial thing works. And I know a lot of people don't want to do audio tutorials, and I'm not saying everybody should, but by doing audio tutorials, we're showing someone how to do something. So it's not threatening or salesy in any way, and they're learning something, they're getting value, but behind the scenes, we're also kind of showing them how fucking awesome we are, right? Same kind of idea there, Kieran. Because yeah, look at how good the mix down is. It's like, okay, cool. So what? What does a good mix down do for me, you know? And I think at some point in time, Kieran, yes, you could let the song speak for itself. I think at this point though, with how many producers there are out there, have the song speak for itself, have the song be great, and add value on top of that, you know, would be my thing. Mark Eckert's here, everybody. So we might as well just shut this down. He's just going to come in here and start complaining. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, Mark? How's it going, man? I just got off the phone with Mark. Mark's got some cool stuff going on in his business with how he's I won't get into it. I'll do a different thing on that. Jason, that's a really good idea. Cool, man. Definitely put that to use. And Kieran, again, I guess it's the idea that what you did for someone got them where they wanted to be, rather than your service being good but not selling the follow-up. Yeah, exactly. And of course, like if we have a client, you know, like we had a client that got their record on the Heat Seekers Billboard charts, number 5 on that. Pretty cool, right? And the same artist, pretty much everything she releases gets on the iTunes charts. Now, did we go get that for her? Not necessarily, you know. Does someone who mixes a record that wins a Grammy, did that mixing engineer go get that Grammy for them? Not necessarily. They were, you know, it was voted on by other people. We didn't cause our client to get a Billboard charting record on Heat Seekers. She did, you know, she sold records, but we were a part of that process. So you could argue that in a sense we did, you know, we made the music that allowed them to do that. So a lot of people think, well, I can't, what am I supposed to do? How can I help my clients? I don't know how to do any of that stuff. Or I don't have connections, and it's not always about that. And I'm kind of jumping ahead. But there are things, I'll go ahead and say this. There are things that you can do, that you can learn to help, you know, your clients out, to help them get some traction. Because where it gets scary is if our clients, independent artists, continue to invest in their music and they're not seeing any traction, at some point they go, you know, I've put a lot of money and time into this and I'm not really seeing much traction. I really need to like figure this out. Like, you know, either hire a cheaper producer, or, you know, sometimes they just quit. They give up. They can't, they're tired of spending all this money and not seeing anything back. So there's little simple things that we can do to help them get traction, you know, like running like Facebook ads for clients, like is really easy to do. And that gives them some traction, you know, like, and you could do that. You can learn how to do that today. So imagine if you produced a song for an artist and they got a lyric video made, you help them do some targeting Facebook ads and they built up their fan page. That's not a Grammy, but that's traction. They see, okay, cool, this is heading in the right direction. I feel like I'm getting a return on my investment. Now they have a group of people that have shown interest in their song that they can later, you know, market merchandising to, you know, things like that. That's just one example. I have producers I consult that do a lot of different things to help their clients get traction. Some of it's as simple as just like being a guide for them to achieve a certain goal, or they want to achieve a certain goal, and the producer acts as a guide to help them do that because the producer has experienced it. And I'll show you that example. Any more questions here on 2 before I chat your ear off with my rambling? If not, I'll move forward. And remember to drop a like and a heart if you like what's going on here. And if you're watching this in the future, then make sure that you comment replay so that I can come back and see your questions. Obviously, none of you on here right now are going to comment that because we are live. All right, I'm going to move on here. I see some of them hearts flying. Appreciate it. Oh, let's see. Can I like my own live stream? I can. Cool. So Kevin says, I'd love to talk more about traction. Kevin, re-ask that question to me and give me some more detail. Traction for your clients, what we were just talking about, or traction for you, or a little bit more context, and I'll loop back around and answer it for you. Okay, here. Engagement in this oversaturated market where I'm not sure algorithms are working in our favor on platforms like YouTube and Spotify. Yeah, as an artist, Kevin, is that what you're talking about more so? All right, see you later, Jason, man. Thanks for coming. Gotcha. For an artist, Kevin. So again, not 100% my specialty. If you're just signing on, my specialty, I'm a consultant. I work with music producers, helping them land more clients in the online space. So as far as like Spotify algorithms, I don't know much about them. I have some resources I could give on, Spotify playlist and stuff if you want to reach out to me personally. YouTube algorithms, I mean, those are, I like those. I've always had pretty good luck with those. The Facebook algorithms, of course, for organic can be a little tough, but Facebook paid ads are just incredible. So that's something you can help the artists with. It's very cheap to do that. Kelsey, what's up, man? My Canadian producer brother. He's also part of the consulting family. Glad you're here, Kelsey. All right, let's move to, so we talked about, so let's recap. Some people are just diving on. They'll have to rewind and watch this when it's done. We've talked about, determining who your ideal client is, because in order for us to know who our brand's going to connect with, we need to know who that person is. We don't know what to create. So we determined who that was. Then I gave you the formula for how to, figure out what makes you special. And I wanted to give you the example. I didn't do that. Douglas, how's it going, man? So I'll show you like how specific people are getting. So, excuse me. One of my clients, Simon, he's a fantastic. You just saw him in the comment section. He landed his first client with me within the first 3 weeks of working together. So he's killing it. So he's a producer and songwriter. He's signed to a publishing deal. So he has experience with being signed to a publisher and, getting cuts. He's got one in Korea and some other things. So his messaging is really, really focused. So he came to me because he was getting cuts, he signed, but he wanted to beef up his, one-on-one production work. Because a lot of times when you're pitching songs, even if they get placed or cut, you're not getting paid till a lot later. So that's why he came to me. So what we determined his special skill was being able to essentially be a guide for other songwriters who want publishing deals, who are seeking publishing deals, because he's been there and he can help them not only produce a song, but look at, okay, what publishing company do you want to get signed to? Okay, let's look at what they need. What are some gaps in their catalog? What are they looking for? And let's help create a piece that publishing company would want, potentially, and give you some resources after we finish the song for you to like go after them, because obviously he's been through that process. So his messaging is really focused. This isn't the exact thing, but it's something like, I create compelling pop songs for artists seeking. Come on, pen. There we go. Publishing. Come on, deals. There we go. Yes, I'm yelling at a pen, by the way. So I create compelling pop songs for artists seeking publishing deals. So very specific. Hey, Sarah, how's it going? Speaking of, I have to stop here. I'm sorry that live stream. This is my first one. Live streams are very, they'll bring the ADD out of you. She got a bunch of stuff going on at the same time. So apologize here. But Sarah used to work at, I don't know if she still works there, if you still work there or not, Sarah. I want to say, I thought you went solo now, but she worked at a company called 12 South Music in Nashville, who I consider my, I hired, they were my marketing guys, I consider the CEO of that company my coach. I mean, they were awesome. So she worked with them and doing the branding. So she could probably actually whoop my ass at this class. Sarah, maybe we'll do a collaborative live together sometime, because when it comes to brand identity stuff, she's a monster at it. It's awesome. And Sarah, to answer your question, the guy is the guy who commented right under you, Simon. He's in Sweden. He's a fantastic producer. So his messaging is, I create compelling pop songs for artists seeking publishing deals. So he talks about that formula. We went through that formula. What do you do? He creates pop songs, produces and writes them. Who is his ideal client? It is pop artists are his ideal client, pop artists and songwriters. And what can you help them achieve? He can help them achieve, he can help them on their journey towards getting a publishing deal, which is what his ideal client's issue is. They have these songs, but they don't know how to connect the dots between, how do I make a song? How do I get it to a publisher and land a deal so I can further my career? So super, super tight messaging. Okay. Simon, definitely reach out to Sarah. She's asking about you. So you know the drill, my man. Y'all have a convo. See if y'all can help each other out. Sarah's a good time to talk to Simon now too, as he's in the middle of putting his site together. So maybe y'all can figure something out there. Any questions before I delete this? Any questions about this messaging? Does everybody understand what messaging is and how that's positioning him as someone who can help his ideal client? And if there's no questions, then I'll move on. All right, cool. I'm going to move on. We'll answer some at the end as well. So speaking of that, so let's talk about 3. So far, everything about what we've been talking about in this little branding, class live stream has none of it's had to do with logos or colors or websites or anything yet. So most people, like I said in the beginning, just think branding is about having a pretty logo or nice pictures or a pretty website. And as you're seeing here, there's a lot more to it, and we're not done yet either. But let's talk I just want to give you a quick tip about brand identity. So kind of the look and feel of your visuals, logos, websites, content that you're putting out on social media, all that stuff. So let's look at that. Because one of the things that I see way too often is a music producer is trying to get some clients online. They'll put together a website, but the website doesn't align with who their ideal client is. And it may just be because they don't know who their ideal client is. But I'll give you one tip that I give to my folks, the producers I consult. that usually changes everything for them. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. They see the disconnect. And I want you to do this exercise too if you have a website up or just any of your content, okay? And this is super easy. It seems like common sense, but again, since I see it so often where it's not done right, what you want to do is look up like your ideal client. This could be independent artist. It could be, mainstream artist. So if you want to be a pop producer, look up, like the Chainsmokers site or, some big pop artist. And if your site, if your identity, your logos, if that doesn't look anything in the same, ballpark as your ideal clients, then you've missed the mark. I'll go to someone's site and they're like, yeah, I produce pop. And I'm like, there's nothing about this website that says pop music to me, And if you want to see a great example, check out one of the producers I work with, Mark Eckert. Sorry if you hear a dog in the background. We're babysitting a dog and he's pissed off that I'm doing this live stream and not paying attention to him. mark-eckert.com. There in my kindergarten handwriting. Go to his site. So his ideal client are indie pop musicians. And you'll see that if you look at his site, at everything from his logo to the pictures of him to the fonts to the colors, it aligns with, that could very easily be an indie pop artist website. It aligns very easily, or it aligns very well. So what he did was, you can also take influences from, other companies and brands that have your same ideal client. So for example, Lander, the mastering tool, very similar ideal client to Mark. So you'll see a lot of similarities there with Lander's branding and Mark's branding, because he said, hey, they're obviously killing it selling a product to my ideal client. Let me look at their branding and what they're doing and kind of take some inspiration from that. So it's really easy. There should be no reason why your, visuals, your brand identity is not in the same ballpark as who your ideal client is. That's important. And another thing I'll say, I'll give you this other tip for websites while we're at it. I would encourage you to, and I tell my clients this, don't go crazy on your website with audio photo, like pictures of gear and screenshots of plugins. Artists, your clients don't give a shit about that stuff. They don't care. If you're a mixer and your ideal client is producers, then maybe, yeah, they'll find it impressive and cool. What's up, Gavin? Hello, Eric. Welcome. Y'all are going to definitely want to rewind. We've talked about a lot, but I'm glad you're here. Better late than never. So one thing that I see all the time on music producers, their websites, is all these pictures of equipment. Now, if you have a studio and it's important that, people need to see the studio that they're coming into, then fine. Again, that's not really the market I work with. I work with music producers who work with clients online. Most of them have very modest, bedroom studios at best, right? Excuse me. So cut down on the audio gear. Steve, I got a client. He should be on this. I got a client. One of my consulting clients is texting me dang questions during the live stream when he should be on the live stream. I'll have to holler at him about that. So cut out the audio pictures, y'all. Don't need them. They're what's more impressive to a client is to see big visuals of what their branding would look like, or other artists that look like them, really cool photos and visuals of your clients that you're working with. They don't care about seeing a screenshot of a Waves plugin or a stock image of zoomed in on a mixing console. They just don't care about that. So that's a big thing I see people do. So that's the brand identity section. Yeah. Yo, do you need beats? What's up, man? That's my favorite Facebook name. This guy just beat all of you on Facebook names. Straight and to the point. Yeah, I need to send him the link. Well, everybody got emails about it, but he's got that special access, so he's got my number to text me directly. So he's taking advantage of that. Anybody have any questions on the brand identity stuff? Or Sarah, if you're still on, if there's like an important point you want to make, since that's what you do for a living. Again, the main points that I wanted to make is that make sure it's not just the stock crap. Like make sure that it aligns with who your ideal client is. If you want to work with pop artists, go look at a bunch of pop artist websites, independent and major, and say, okay, and then look at your website and say, does it match that? For example, like the Chainsmokers site is, tons of, colors and boldness to it. And then you go to a producer's website for pop and it's like black and white. And it's like, well, you see, there's a disconnect there. So take inspiration from companies that have the same ideal client that you do, as well as artists. So it doesn't look like there's any questions coming in here. You don't have anything? All right. Don't be shy. Now's the time. All right, I'm going to go ahead and, oh yeah, good one. Sarah said, I missed that one. Brand consistency is important too. So once you've developed, figured out that your brand's identity, making sure that you're consistent with it, you see, those a good example of that, those big Instagram accounts, you go to them and it's like all the pictures, they have that kind of same vibe, or maybe there's like the same watermark logo in the bottom. That's consistency. Beyond that, the actual content itself that you're making, if every, like we were talking about earlier in the live stream, if one day you're doing this content on EDM because you want to work with an EDM artist, and the next day you're doing metal because you want to work with the metal artist, and you're trying to be everything to everybody, that's a lack of consistency versus someone like Austin Hull, his YouTube channel that is very, very specific to pop. There's consistency there. So that's how it's branded him as an authority in making independent pop music for people. Cool. So I just have one last one here. And this one is talked about. This is the least talked about when it comes to branding, but I think it's an important one. Zach, what's up, man? Way late. Zach is part of the Streetlight Melodies team that came on board with me this past week. So we're going to do some awesome stuff this year. And I'm excited for them. Zach. Cool. Good to have you, dude. Y'all already know this stuff anyway. Better late than never. Yep. Y'all already know this stuff anyway, but I'm glad you're here to support me and appreciate it. All right. Mike said, to what extent should you derive your identity from your accomplishments versus your abilities? Like when figuring out what it is that you can best do for your clients. So Mike, it's a mix of both, and I think when you say your accomplishments, you're positioning your accomplishments in a way that it's not just like I kind of mentioned earlier, you're not just like flexing those accomplishments. You're saying, here's what I've done, so I can kind of act as a guide to you if that is also your goal, because I've been there before. And on the flip side, because some of you are watching this and saying, well, I don't have any accomplishments. Well, then you just leverage that. You leverage the fact that, you can be kind of a teammate to your client who has a similar goal to you, right? So are you going to work with the top tier artists? Probably not, but that's okay. You're not there yet. Your ideal client may be another beginner. If you're kind of a beginner producer, your ideal client's most likely going to be a beginner artist, and you're positioning that as, hey, I don't have any accomplishments, but like, let's get them together. I'm hungry for that. And here's what I can do. I've spent time learning everything about artist marketing. So I'm going to produce a song with you and help you market it, or help you with the distribution or things like that. So I have a client um, that I'm working with right now, a producer that's in Massachusetts. And he kind of took his own issue, and as he's going through the journey of figuring out a solution for that issue, he's made that his thing. So his brand is, the remote songwriter. So his ideal clients are people like himself, people who are songwriters who aren't in one of the big music cities, and how they can connect, and these people like don't have the option to move to a music city. He is eventually moving to Nashville in the next year. So he's used that journey, documenting his journey of, hey, I'm a remote songwriter. Here's what I've been doing to stay, tied into the Nashville scene without living there. And I'm going to document my journey of actually moving there in the next 12 months. So he kind of used an issue he had as his brand, because people connect with that. They're like, oh, I'm a remote songwriter too. This guy gets what I'm going through. I'm going to work with him. So Mike, I hope that answers your questions. So it's not accomplishment versus your abilities. To me, the abilities I think are just naturally shown in your work. If you're talking about music abilities, I think artists care less about, all these different services that you can do for them, and more about what's the final result. And I think your musical abilities, that's shown in your work. And your accomplishments you use in a way to where you're not just flexing on people saying, look what I've done, but hey, look what I can help be a guide. I can help be a guide for you in that realm, So I hope that answered. Again, if you hear the dog whining in the background, we're babysitting a little bulldog, and it's very mad at me for doing this live stream and not paying attention to it. So I'm going to give it some extra hugs when we get out of this. Mike said, thanks for the insight. Want to be yeah, hell yeah. Your remixes are awesome, Mike. So you got the ability there. You may have some achievements. I don't know you personally yet. But yeah, there's what I love about remixes too, Mike, is that it's, and not a lot of remixers position it this way. I never see them make content on it. So here's an idea. What's cool about a remix to me is that if you can also produce and do a remixed version of it and package it together that way, then that's really dope for your client, for the artist, because they essentially get almost 2 for 1 in essence, because for an artist, it's smart for them to make sure that they are really doubling down on every song they do, and having multiple versions of the same song. It's like they get the same amount of potential benefit, but without twice the work. They don't have to write 2 songs, right? So that's something interesting to look at, Mike. Maybe you can, because you can obviously produce 2. So if your sort of package was you could produce the main song, then do a remix of it, and it was, and you package that together, you could push that as the fact, hey, like you don't have to do any extra work, and it's not that much different price wise or whatever, because you make the price of your productions, up there anyway, because you're really good. That's very cool for them. That's very helpful. You could say to them, hey, this way you get twice the mileage out of one song. That's what I can help you do. Mike, the legend, Michael Shope. He's here. The guy who taught me everything. Now I'm embarrassed. Michael, don't rewind this. Just assume that that I'm doing a good job. And Michael, we're way overdue on a call, man. I'll give you a buzz, or I'll shoot you an email here soon and let you know what's been going on with me. Mike Anderson says, when it comes to social media branding, what is more important? Consistency, daily post engagement, or quality, releasing higher quality content, less frequent? posts, but more related to a core brand focus. So everything you do should be related to the core of your brand. And to me, it depends on what you mean by quality and quantity, because like technically a cell phone video isn't like a high quality piece of content, like for how it looks, but they convert really well. So what I do with any kind of content I do, whether I have time to do it daily or whether it's, I have time to do it once a week, I do it with intention. There's a purpose for that piece of content. And usually the purpose for it is, if I'm doing a Facebook post, I'm trying to attract engagement for people that I can then reach out to and see if they're my ideal client and get them on a call. If it's YouTube, I'm putting on a piece of content that's built around my brand with the intention of getting them back into my environment somehow. So I want to create for Austin's YouTube channel, we'll do a video on, he'll do a video on serum, how to make something in serum, right? So he's attracting people that, are artists that produce themselves at home. And then he goes the extra step by giving them something to download. So now they're on his mailing list. He can build that relationship with them at scale. So every piece of content I do has intention to it. As far as quality, not every video we make is a masterpiece. Most aren't. Most are just my YouTube channel is just me scribbling my crappy handwriting and rambling like I'm doing now. The content I hope is high quality. But yeah, man. So the daily stuff is more documenting, and Nicholas from Panorama Mastering does a great job. So follow him on Instagram. He's in Australia, so I think they're maybe asleep now, but I don't know if he's on here. But that's more documenting your day-to-day stuff. It's showing that, okay, this guy's working. He's doing the thing. This guy or girl is working. They're doing their thing. The day-to-day documentation, and then stuff for, Facebook or YouTube or things like that should have, some kind of intention. And it's usually to attract, your ideal client versus just putting out something random. Hope that answers it. Thank you, Michael Shope. I appreciate it, dude. Feel free to chime in with any ideas, by the way. You're the master. Gary. Cool, man. Yeah, documenting. I'm not very good at that, to be honest. Although I created here, I'm going to take another opportunity to pitch something. And y'all can hate me for it, but I'm freaking doing it. I'm pitching stuff. First, my class, if y'all haven't taken the long class, the danielgrimmett.com/class, where I go kind of start to finish how I'm working, consulting with music producers, helping them build a business, definitely watch that. But something I haven't talked about yet, this is kind of the soft launch, if you will, danielgrimmett.com/files. I have a thing called the producer files, and that is me documenting my journey as a consultant, as a coach, showing you the experiments, showing you, tests that we're running, mindset stuff, what I've learned running my business, how I'm helping other music producers, what they're doing. So you're kind of getting real time, up-to-date info. And a lot of you may not know what a successful music production company looks like behind the scenes. So I want to pull back the curtain, and it's cool. It's like a document, these files that I've typed out. We're actually printing and mailing them to you. So it's not on the internet, nothing on the internet. We're going to mail them to you. So check out danielgrimmett.com/files for that. So I'll stop pitching now and go back to you guys. Mike, welcome back. Mike, I answered your question, but I don't know if maybe you got booted off the live stream, but when it's done, you can rewind it if you didn't see it. Rico, what do you think about the music producers that make different music genres? Doing too much can mislead the people. Yeah, so Rico, if when this is done, when this live stream is over, go back to the beginning. We were talking about, determining who your ideal client was. And I talked a little bit about that. And someone asked kind of a similar question, because I always recommend being a specialist, if I go back to that formula again, you're going to have to kind of rewind some of this because we went through it and it'll have your answer, but I'll give you a quick recap. To figure out what makes us special, it's what we do, who our ideal client is. So what we do who we do that for, and then what we can help them achieve after we've created that piece of music for them. Now, someone who has already established themselves, for example, as a pop producer and wants to then move into hip hop and add that to their, brand, they have an easier time doing that because they've already built the authority. If you're just starting out and you're doing a bunch of different things, what's tough about that is we need to make content that really connects with our audience. And we have 5 different audiences, then you're just going to wear yourself out trying to make content to speak to every one of those. Take it from me. Michael Shope can chime in. Take it from me, a dude who tries to do way too much crap at one time. It's tough, So that's why I just think it's important to focus. One, it's just easier to run a business that way. So cool. What else do we got? The last thing we talked about was brand identity. Now we're moving into the last one here I got for you guys. And I don't know what time. Dang, we've been on this thing for an hour already. Yeah. Michael Shope says, focus, focus, focus. Michael, give me the link to that new product you just released, that book, because I think it has a lot to do with this topic in day to day. So I can share the link to that and write it up here because I'm going to get one. I know that's coming out soon, and I'll explain when you post it up here. Yeah, there it is. Y'all check this out. It's coming out. You pre-order it now and it comes out next month. I'm going to actually take my time and try to write this as neat as possible. It's hard writing on these little tablets, man. I'm getting used to it still. Oh, cool. Affiliate stuff. So onebook.me is super cool. It's like this customized kind of, and Michael, tell me if I'm wrong, kind of a customized day-to-day planner. And in the beginning, it has like kind of this morning routine, which is what I have my consulting clients do. They have a morning routine, every one of them, that hopefully they're doing every morning, because I have them model their days after successful people that are successful. Their mornings look different than normal people who aren't. So this one book guides you through it and helps you plan your day, get through a morning ritual, reflect on the day, and it's all handwritten and you can customize what kind of pages they are. Hopefully I did a good pitch of that, Michael. But it's cool. Onebook.me. So check that out. So Robin, what's up? Another one from the family. Thanks for showing up to support, Robin. Again, my coaching guys, they know all this stuff already, but thank y'all for hopping on and supporting. Okay, Michael says I got it. I got the pitch down. So onebook.me is pretty cool. All right, what are we going to get? So the last one that we're going to talk about, this was, again, like I said, one that isn't talked about that often when it comes to Brandon, but my Southern came out to hear that when it comes to Brandon. But it's culture, building a culture and experience around your brand. Now, obviously you see this at like a concert. That's easy to make that connection, right? Coachella has built a brand, they built culture around their brand. It's kind of the point. It is an experience. The experience is their product. But for someone like us, who's a music producer, who offers a service, how do we build culture around that? How do we build experience around that? There's a couple ways, and I'll use Austin, and I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just going to give you some examples. Let's use Austin Hall as an example again with the Make Pop Music Group. He has literally built a culture around his brand. And what's interesting about Austin is that in the Make Pop Music Facebook group, and hopefully he's cool with me giving the behind the scenes, is that his intention when he started the group had nothing to do with his brand. At that point, he was just starting out as a pop producer. He was in a different genre and moving into pop. He literally went into it to create a culture. And by chance, he got it. He really got it right because he built the culture first and then was able to build a brand on top of that because he's the leader of the group. And so when we're building culture around our brand, that's really where I think the value comes in. I have a client that he has two kind of markets. One is working with songwriters who want cuts, and one is working with independent artists who are just singers. Well, those two people need each other, right? Because these songwriters that are starting out, they're pretty good. Like, they're probably not going to get like go from zero to some huge cut, right? They should be getting cuts from other independent artists just to build their resume. And then of course these artists need songs. So he's creating a culture and an experience where those two are connected, and he's the leader of that. So that's what I mean by building culture and experience around your brand. For Mark Eckert, he just released That Pitch, a paid subscription, because his clients, one of the things he helps them does is pitch music. So he has a kind of membership subscription. So he's building an experience, building culture around his brand, where people can come and have help with pitching songs and meet other artists and writers, and he can support them. He has a company that, is signing and developing artists. So there's a culture there that people want to be a part of it. Just think about the Make Pop Music group, right? Most of y'all, I would assume, like hanging out there. You like being a part of that environment, a part of that culture. So that's what you need to be thinking about for your own brand. And what can you create that is like that? So the last one is culture and creating an experience. So that is all I have. So if y'all have any questions, I'll answer them. And if not, I'm going to go play with this dog and do a mix later and return some emails too. So if you're watching this and I owe you an email, I'm getting to it. Mike, see you later, man. Hope you like that advice about the remix stuff. I think that's a cool approach. Mike, let's have a call sometime. Mike, don't afraid. Mike Anderson. I don't know much. Well, Mike, do we have your profile looks familiar, Mike Anderson. I don't know if we've chatted. Robin, get some sleep, my dude. I know you're busy. Robin's in like week 3 with me, 2 or 3. So that's when a lot of the work happens. So no wonder you've been awake for 22 hours. Get some rest, my man. And I'll make one more pitch for my stuff since if no one's asking me questions, then I'm just going to try to sell y'all things. So for the rest of the time until everybody signs off and they're sick of me. But seriously, though, I have a really cool free class if you haven't taken it yet. Kind of gets into a little bit more detail of what I do start to finish when I'm consulting music producers and helping them build online companies to attract clients, work with artist clients. It's at danielgrimmett.com/class. And I launched something brand new. This is the first time you're hearing about is on this live stream is the producer files, which is kind of like my personal journal documenting my journey as a consultant working with independent music producers, helping them build businesses. So pulling back the curtain on what it looks like behind the scenes of a successful music production company, the experiments, the tests, what's working, what's not working, mindset. You can see like, okay, what are these people doing that I'm not doing? And I actually physically, it's nothing on the internet. I physically mail it to you wherever you are in the world. We have a company The information's free. It's just like a monthly subscription that covers the mail and the printing and all that, because we have a company that does that. Yes, check that out too. danielgrimmett.com/files, the producer files. I think I saw a question. Nicholas, how to showcase other things you can do if you're too genre specific. I think you can sneak that in the content, but look at Nicholas, and obviously we'll have chats about this. Nicholas is part of my family as well. So I'll talk to you, Nicholas, about what specifically you're talking about. I think you can showcase other things by sneaking it into your content here and there. For example, I could be doing a video on making a pop track, but I say, yeah, it's a little influenced by, this particular track that I'm working on is influenced by, rock or whatever. And they're like, okay, obviously you can do that stuff too. But again, it depends on why you're doing it. I'm cool with people showing what they can do, but not because they have a fear of getting specific and really niching down. Because again, y'all have to think about it as it's less about the genre. Genre is part of it, but it's less about that and more about how can I make myself be the best option for a specific kind of client. That could be based on genre, based on their needs, based on their personality, what they're trying to accomplish. So that's why it's important to do that. Most of us can produce multiple styles of music, and you'll still get asked to do it. I promise. Like we get out, like my production company, nothing on our website says anything about we're going to write you a damn wedding song for your wedding. But by God, we still get asked to write wedding songs, and usually we don't do it. It's not our thing, but we have the option there if we wanted to, I guess. In the past, we have done them in the past, a long time ago. No problem. Do you need beats, man? Thanks for being here. Cool, Nicholas. Makes sense. Yeah, we'll chat about that too. All right, y'all. I think I'm going to wrap up unless y'all have questions. I'll give it another 30 seconds here. And I'm just going to keep drawing smiley faces until y'all have questions. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, we'll be talking soon, man. I saw y'all's week 1 stuff come in, so we'll get a call booked next week. I want you to spend a week on, well, I'm not going to say it out loud, but you know what to do. I want y'all to get a little bit of experience with that. And I've seen you already been doing it, so cheers to you, man. Get that bulldog some love. See you, Kelsey. I got your email too, man. We'll chat next. We'll get yours set up. I think we booked it already. Cool. All right. I'm giving y'all some smiley faces. Y'all give me some hearts back or some likes back, and then we'll end this thing. Hopefully y'all got something out of this. This is my first live stream. I've already learned a lot about doing this and what I want to do next time, how to make it a little better and what I want to discuss. What's up, G-Soul? Good chatting with you today, man. This video is a good starting point for you, by the way, based on what we were talking about on our call today. Thanks, Joel. All right, y'all. I'm gonna sign off. So this should stay up. It'll render and y'all can rewatch it again. For you people who are watching it here in the future, make sure to comment replay on it so that I can go back and see your comments and reach out and connect with you. And it wouldn't be a Daniel Grimmett live stream if I didn't do one last pitch for my free class. If you want to check that out, danielgrimmett.com/class. You're guaranteed to get a Lamborghini. If you sign up for the class, just call Lamborghini and they'll give you one. They already know the deal. Just call them and they'll give you a Lamborghini for signing up for the class. So danielgrimmett.com/class. And then if you want sort of a sneak peek behind the scenes of, real-time strategies, experiments, tests, how I'm working with clients building successful music production companies, then check out danielgrimmett.com/files. That's a new thing I'm launching in May called the Producer Files. And it's going to be stuff that is not online. I'm mailing it to you, physically mailing you. It's like my journal. It's cool. It's going to be pretty sick. And if you sign up for that, Ferrari is giving cars away to everybody that signed up for that. Just call Ferrari and they know they'll send it to you. Well, cool. Thanks. In all seriousness, appreciate everyone who joined and watched this, my first live stream. And I had fun doing it. And we will see you next time if I can figure out how to shut this thing off. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.